Respect for nature, life as a community, prosperity from nature, crafting from nature. These are the four swords, the pillars that bind, that govern, that protect us. This is the story of the Hunters Guild. Hello then, and welcome as today we talk that which governs us all. The Hunters Guild itself, how it came to be, and what it actually does, how it actually works. We know that we're hunters, we know that we take on requests, we slay monsters, and we protect the people of this world. But it all goes so much deeper than that. The Great Dragon War! This legendary and greatest conflict in Monster Hunter history left the land devoid of life. The dragons, the humans reduced to almost naught, a near extinction level event. And, as you might imagine, the remnants of humanity was not keen to repeat the mistakes that had cost them everything. And indeed, as they slowly tried to rebuild, slowly picked up the pieces as the years went by, they aimed to reconnect with nature, to work with it as opposed to against it, to work alongside it as opposed to control it. This lesson was helped learned by the Wyverians, that they would rediscover, come into contact with, the Wyverians that now felt they could approach these changed humans and let them in on their ways of communing with nature, with the monsters themselves, with living so closely to the land, to tie your fate and fortunes to the green around you. And it is with these principles that the Hunters Guild was formed. Exactly when, exactly by whom is unknown, but the core values that it would represent and what it would aim to ever prevent happening again was very clear. And those core values are where we must begin, with the Guild's crest itself, a symbol I'm sure you've seen in many places across many games. Well, it does indeed have deep meaning. The four swords of the Guild. The top is respect for nature. The left, life as a community. The right, prosperity from nature. And the bottom, crafting from nature. Remembering these four rules is humanity's lifeline to never anger the dragons so again. And indeed, balance in all things is the Guild's #1 goal. Even in the hunting that we do, it is in the name of the natural order and keeping it well in order. The Guild sees itself as an almost custodian of the natural world, ever watching the species, the creatures that exist within it, making sure none overstep their boundaries, that none dwindle too few in number, making sure that the villages thrive, but not at the cost of the monsters themselves. It is an never-ending task, but it is one that is taken great pride within. And of course, the key component with all of that is the hunters themselves, registered and licensed with the Guild. They can take on any Guild-approved quest. Indeed, Guild approval is very much needed. Every little quest that you post, those quest boards, those slips of paper, the notes that are there, in every town, in every continent, in every place, are official Guild quests. When someone has a monster problem, well, they tell the Guild will evaluate it, and if they deem it needs a, well, hunter, stabby, murder, death, kill based solution, then it will become a request, and a hunter of appropriate rank and skill will undertake it. That is the most overarching level. Person in world has problem with monster, person tells guild, guild agrees that is problem, guild authorizes hunter to deal with problem and pays hunter, and thus the cycle continues. That is the standard cycle of being a normal hunter in normal everyday life for the guild. There of course is much more. There is emergency situations like Gormagala and the Frenzy Virus that needed everyone's help, needed hunters far and wide, needed a concerted effort to combat. It was no villager quest, it was a guild order directly. And indeed, the guild is very much responsible for the safety of humankind, for the thriving and survival of the many myriad of villages dotted about the place. See, most of the population of the Monster Hunter world is very spread out. Numerous little settlements with as low as 100 residents are commonplace. The big cities, as it were, are few and far between. You have the guild headquarters located in Dundalma. That is quite the fortress and quite the hub. You have something like Lochlac City, mighty in the desert and thriving and bustling, and something that I dearly hope we get to return to at some point in Monster Hunter because it's an absolutely awesome place. We have a large coastal trading town of Port Tanzia. We have Valhabar, another thriving settlement built near the Great Desert, and has quite the armada of sand ships. These places all have massive guild buildings and operations located within them. These places also have a military, armies and soldiers to help keep the peace, primarily from the monsters outside the walls. And in fact, these armies, these soldiers, are the reason that our hunting grounds are so familiar. You might think it's just it's a gameplay, a requirement that the maps are identical every time you go to them, because obviously you're not going to procedurally generate a Monster Hunter map and you're not going to have 5 versions of a forest just for variety. Well, the thing is, yes, it is obviously for gameplay reasons, but at the same time, the maps of Monster Hunter are designated hunting grounds with borders drawn out by the guild, and they are assigned as essentially, well, where it's all going to go down. And in order to get the monster that is currently being hunted in one of these maps, well, it generally is corralled there by a division from one of the various armies around the world. They repel it and beat it back, unable to, combat it themselves, but they can certainly guide its path until it is in the designated area, ready for its appointment with a hunter and a big sword whacker. Though it should be noted that this isn't the case in the New World, as it is a newly discovered continent that is newly being explored, claimed, and understood. So the environments there are very much just natural. The monsters found there are, again, just living their life. It's not a specific hunting ground, which I like because it also goes to explain why everything is so much more, well, beautifully done there, why the ecologies of the monster are so much more represented, while their natural tendencies are realized, where you can watch them live and hunt and sleep and actually have their routines, whereas you can't in the older games, which are all taking place on hunting grounds that the monster's been forced into by a army. So I really like how that actually works out. This teamwork is a core component of the guild. Indeed, it's a core component of humanity itself. Nothing bands a people together like knowing that if they fuck with nature just a little bit too much, well, nature is going to bite back. And nature bites hard. And indeed, in the need to keep this peace, this balance, this harmony with nature, the guild has measures for those that disregard its rules. Any that hunt a monster that has not been designated and approved by the guild are considered a poacher. Now, of course, exceptions apply. If a monster sneaks into a village, starts ransacking the place, and the local villagers manage to injure it or even kill it, well, the guild aren't gonna come knocking with shackles and chains. But someone actively hunting game which has not been approved, which there is not a quest for, simply for the trophies, for the thrill, for any personal reason, is considered a poacher, and poachers are not dealt with lightly. No, they are in fact, well, hunted down themselves and killed. The Guild Knights are responsible for this duty. They make sure that no illegal hunting happens. They also hunt down criminals, murderers, those few that would work against humanity. They also go to various settlements. They act as negotiators, as warnings. They relay information to various villages. They, well, for example, warn of an incoming Lunastra, so they all need to evacuate. Indeed, good old Mr. Ace Commander is a guild knight, and a very prolific one at that. Also a hunter too, they are not mutually exclusive. Guild Knights tend to be well-trained, very powerful, and very well-equipped. And I think there's a whole lot of potential for exploring them in a different kind of Monster Hunter spin-off, but I digress. They chiefly are based in the guild's main headquarters of Dundorma, and it is where their power is concentrated. They are capable, they are leaders when needed, and they are not many. But there doesn't need to be many. Now, it's at this point that you might ask yourself, okay, it's kind of a good job the guild seems to be, you know, go team humans, everybody happy thriving life, woo, nature, yeah, let's not all die again. And yeah, it is good that they are that, and it is good that they are still that, and it is good that they have not had a corrupted or twisted purpose as the years went by. But think about how much power the Hunters Guild has. It is the governing association of the entire Monster Hunter world. Everyone everywhere is beholden to it and its rules. It just so happens that it and its rules are very much for the betterment of mankind, but that is a fragile balance. If the guild's leadership was to sway to something a bit more self-serving or along those lines, well, it could be a big problem. A corrupt guild is an interesting idea, and again, I think territory for another kind of spin-off, but again, I digress. But it cannot be overstated just how much control they have over essentially everything. Despite there being so many human settlements, the leadership in each tends to be the local village elder and the highest-ranking guild official stationed there. And that is really, I mean, they have their hands in a lot of pies. That's all I'm saying. And if something sinister was going on, it would be very easy to both pursue it and hide it from the general population if you have the kind of power and resources the guild does indeed have. But let's not put on our tinfoil hats too much right now and talk about the arms of the guild, the various organizations within it, and what they indeed are responsible for. So, as I said, the main base headquarters of the Hunters Guild is in Dundorma, a very impressive town, and one that, again, I hope we do get to visit in the future of Monster Hunter. There are multiple guild masters that collectively are in charge of the guild. These guild masters are restricted to be Wyverians, and this, I think, is a key point to expand a little bit on the what if they weren't evil I alluded to. Wyverians very much are, by nature, well, dedicated to nature. And I almost think this was a deliberate choice by the humans to have guild leadership belong to Wyverians, because, by definition, they are not going to go against the true path of this synergy with nature, of respecting it, of working alongside it, of thriving alongside it. That very much works. And in Dundorma lies his immenseness! A ancient, massive Wyverian. His knowledge and wisdom runs deep, and he is a very high-ranking guild member. In fact, he not only helped build the battle quarters of Dundalma itself, because Dundalma gets attacked by powerful monsters a lot, by elder dragons a lot. It's almost like they know that losing it would be the most devastating blow to humanity, and therefore it is protected heavily with everything the guild can muster. But his immenseness! Also formed the Elder Dragon Observation Team. And these, as you might expect, are those responsible for, well, documenting, tracking, and learning everything that they can about Elder Dragons. They have the movements of every known Elder Dragon, at least that they are aware about, constantly being observed. They give warnings if there is any change or any danger, and they study and study and study, giving humanity any advantage, ecologically speaking, if ever conflict should be required with them. Though that said, they study other classes of monsters too. They are a deep repository of information on all the creatures of the Monster Hunter world. They also go on expeditions to ancient civilization ruins to learn all they can from the inscriptions and scrolls left behind, to regain that knowledge, that technology that was lost. They also predict Elder Dragon attacks, as I alluded to warn of any unnatural patterns in their movement and give as much advance preparation time as possible. They alert any given guild headquarters closest to the Elder Dragon that is a threat, and have them ready themselves for battle, evacuation, or indeed both. They also predict Elder Dragons like one might predict the weather. They are Elder Dragon forecasters, assuming where they will be based on their behavior, based on their patterns, based on their movement, their diet, their tendencies. They basically have a GPS lock on every Elder Dragon they are aware about without literally tagging them. It is a tireless job, and it requires a lot of work and dedication, but it is one that makes humanity infinitely safer. There is also various sub-branches of this organization. There is the Flying Wyvern Observatory. There is also the Wyceum, which was used to help combat Gormagala, Shagarumagala, and the Frenzy Virus by producing the Y-Stones that helped suppress and defeat the Frenzy Virus. There is the Y-Academy, another group of researchers dedicated to understanding certain monsters. This research is passed back to the guild, of course, and indeed the Elder Dragon Observation Team. They are more limited in what they do, but still very much important. Then there is the Royal Paleontology Scriveners. These guys are a fairly large sector of the guild, and they travel in groups and actually go into the habitats of the monsters themselves, learn about the ecosystem. They are responsible for discovering new species. They have personal guards to protect them from monsters, and indeed, a lot of the time, they have hunters alongside them as they go about their work, as what they do is very, very dangerous. Think of them as a field team, having to actually go into such dangerous locales and mine its secrets. This is then again fed back to the Elder Dragon Observation Team, processed in the Hunters Guild's archives, and then passed on to the hunters with any new information they might have learnt to help them with any given monster. Then of course there is also, well...
Sisters and brothers of the Fifth Fleet, it's time. I'll keep my farewell brief. Never was much with words. Once you board this ship, there's no turning back. The next ground your feet will touch will be that of the New World. If any of you have lost your nerve, then step away now, and let no one judge you. Very well. Then sail safe and strong, and may the Sapphire Star light your way.
The Research Commission, yes indeed, created to explore newly discovered lands. I don't need to go into this one. It is the entire Monster Hunter world and Iceborne, made up of 5 fleets that were sent out every 10 years. The 5th fleet is what we are joined, and it's the 5th fleet that brought the main hunting might with it. After the first 4 all laid foundations, from the constructions of Astera to understanding the region. This is essentially the settlement arm of the guild. Find a new land, send the research commission, create a foothold, bring it under jurisdiction of the guild, and learn everything they can about the local wildlife and the local environment. The guild then also likes to capture monsters for research purposes. Sometimes it will simply release them after study. Sometimes they will be used as training in the many arenas the guild has built. Sometimes they will be dissected, their organs understood. It's how we know what a flame sack, what a thunder sack, what to carve as a hunter. How do you think we can tell a hunter to carve certain rare parts out of certain monsters? Because they have been captured, because they have been dissected, because they have been understood. It helps on all levels to know the ins and outs of the biology of every threat that might occur, and this is the guild's mission. The guild then, as I said, is vast in what it does, vast in how it works, and vast in how it operates. The hunters register, they get given guild cards, they get assigned ranks and hierarchy that match the quests and the ranks the quests have been assigned. It is a huge infrastructure that is the very pulse, the heartbeat, the lifeblood of the Monster Hunter world and all those that aim to survive within it. Now granted, this is a brief overview, it is a little look. You can go into great detail about a lot of these factors, but in the general sense, this is how the guild do. A massive organization dedicated to the research, control, and balance of the natural world between humans and the animals that exist within it, in order to never ever allow something like the Great Dragon War to happen again. It has untold power, but it has also got the interest of every living thing at heart, thanks to the Wyverians that influence, well, every single part of it. And that, as long as it stays, is one hell of a way forward for humanity. Assuming that is indeed how it will stay. Again, I think there's so much potential for like a corrupt guild or guild knight or change or humanity going back towards the way of the ancient civilizations. Maybe the Wyverians are like the hell and that causes a conflict and oh, fun times. But that is how it currently is. That is the hierarchy. And I hope you have enjoyed learning about it. Like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more. Please let me know if there's any other aspect of the Monster Hunter world you would love to know about. Please consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.